So you're a Python developer or an engineer who's just starting to learn Python programming and wondering what's the best way to add graphical user interface or GUI to your native application. In this video, I'll show you how to install all necessary tools to develop cross-platform Python applications with great-looking graphical user interface using PyQt framework. Then I will walk you through Qt Designer application as well as the Qt Creator to easily build powerful user interfaces by simple drag and drop actions. Hi everyone, PyQt here. In this channel, I share useful videos to help you build the required skills in the era of Industry 4.0 and Internet of Things or IoT. If you enjoy electronics, programming, industrial automation and mechatronics engineering, make sure to subscribe to this channel. You won't regret it. Let's get into the video and learn everything you need about Python GUI development using PyQt. So the first question is, what is Qt at all? What are we talking about here? So Qt is a free, open source and cross-platform application development framework for desktop, embedded and mobile devices. Qt is not a programming language on its own. It is just a framework written in C++. PyQt, on the other hand, is a Python binding of the Qt, which is implemented as a Python plugin. This means PyQt helps you take advantage of Qt framework in Python. That's amazing. If you want to see a real application developed with PyQt, check out my other video and the link somewhere on this video, and I'll make sure to put the link in the description as well. So the first step to start developing powerful applications in Python and taking advantage of Qt framework is to install all necessary tools and libraries on your machine. And that's the main topic of this video. In this video, I won't talk about like the coding. That would be a separate video because the video will be so long. But make sure you follow all these instructions to install the machine, prepare your system for next video, which will be discussing, how to write the code actually. And another thing, I'm using a Linux machine or Ubuntu to be more precise. So the installation instruction in this video is for Linux users, but the process is much easier for Windows users, and all you need to do is to download the .exe file and install them instead of entering the command lines, which I explain in this video as well. By the way, if you don't know anything about Linux, I strongly recommend to start learning it. It is very easy and convenient to use. It is not like 5-10 years ago, which was a very complicated thing to learn. In my opinion, everyone can learn it, and you can easily switch to Linux instead of using the Windows as usual. Make sure to check my tutorial video on how to install Ubuntu Linux from A to Z as well if you're interested to get started. So without further delays, let's start installing the required tools from scratch. I'll make sure to show you how every single thing you need to know. But for sure, if I miss something, you had any trouble, make sure you comment below and we'll fix it together. Okay, so first of all, you have to install Python base library or standard library for sure, or let's say just install Python in other words, if you don't have it already, because I'm assuming you have some background in Python. That's why you're watching this video till here. But don't worry, in this I'll show you how to install Python if you don't have right now on your machine. In Ubuntu, again, in Linux users, just simply enter the following commands. As you know, there are many other videos that show you how to install Python, but I just summarize everything you need to do. To know. Okay, so the first thing you need to do, you just write sudo apt-get install python 3, just enter your password, Okay, so because I already had it in my machine, for sure it didn't take long, but if you don't have it, just wait for a few minutes or even less than that, and then the installation process is done. And that's really it. That's all you need to do to install Python. It's that easy. So let's go for, if you're a Windows user, you just need to go to the python.org and in the download section and just download the latest version. As see at the moment, Python 3.9 is the latest one, and it's really up to you. You can install the most recent version or just older one. But just bear in mind, normally the latest versions might have some sort of new kind of bugs, but at the same time, the older bugs has been fixed. Okay, so now you have Python 3 installed on your machine and ready for the next step for sure to install the PyQt and everything else that you need. So right now you just need to make sure you have pip3 installed on your machine. By the way, if you don't know already, pip is just a package manager for Python. That means it's a tool that allows you to install and manage additional libraries and dependencies that are not distributed as a part of the standard library in Python. For example, using pip, you can install a library that someone else has already developed for you to communicate with a PLC over, let's say, MQTT or Modbus or anything else. To install pip3, similarly, you just type in sudo apt install Python 3 pip. I already have it, as I said, so it was really quick, and really that's it. So yeah, now you can install PyQt 5 library or framework basically. Just to install it, just simply type in this command sudo pip3 install PyQt 5. Okay, if you don't have it for sure on your machine, it might take a few minutes because there are too many libraries to be installed on your machine. So here, as you saw, I already have the version 5.15.0, and I'm ready for the next step. So now it was really that easy. With just two simple command line, you can develop GUI applications in Python. But just one thing, so I didn't show anything in Windows because you can use pip3 or pip in a Windows machine as well. So once you, as you may know, once you install the Python, you have access to the command line. So we can just simply say pip3 install PyQt 5, the same process that we had over here in Linux. So just to test, to show you exactly at the moment what do we have, I prepared a very simple code to kind of show you how you can develop a very simple GUI using just a purely command line. Just don't worry if it looks complicated. I'll explain every single line in the next videos. For now, let's just focus on the installation and see how it works. So let's summarize. We installed Python, we installed PyQt 5, and this is a very basic application. So as you see, these are just you will have all these type of lines of code in every application. So let's just focus on just these 4 lines in the middle. So what I did, we created a window, a very simple window. We have a label in it, and we aligned the position to the center, and really that's it. So let's run this code, the Python code. Okay, as you see, it's a very basic and very simple for sure. It's just a window, as I said. We customized the title, and also we added the label over here. But that's really it for the command line. You can, for sure, that's a whole new video. As I said, you can just customize, you can write down, you can add as many components as you want over here in command line. But as you might kind of notice as well, this was purely text and command line. If your application is complicated, it might be really hard to do everything using text and command line. That's why we have two graphical tools to build our GUI with some simple drag and drops, similar to Visual Studio or MATLAB GUI if you're kind of you have some sort of background in programming. So as a next step, let's install those tools as well. So the first thing you want to install is Qt the Designer, and to install it, you just simply type in sudo apt-get install Qt tools 5-dev-tools. All right, that's it. The next thing you want to install is sudo apt-get install Qt tools -dev. All right, that's really it. Now you have a graphical tool called Qt Designer, and just to run it, you can just type in Designer Qt 5. Okay, as you see, a new application opens up after typing those commands. And just to let you know, the Qt Designer is just a tool to create that UI file. It is not an IDE, so you cannot run any code in it. It's just basically to help you get rid of all this command line over here manually. So whatever you create over here, it will auto-generate some Python command lines, and you can basically use them in your Python code. Let's just maybe create a very simple project. So we just create a main window. Okay, that's really it. As you see, you can just drag and drop maybe some push buttons over here, some radio buttons, and really everything. You can just add a label, and it really depends on you, what you are developing and what you do. So as you see, this is very simple, just with drag and drop. It makes your life way easier than just typing and aligning every component in the window separately using the command line. And that's it, really. You just save this file, and as I mentioned, this is the extension is that UI file, and I'll explain how to use this UI file in your Python code later on in the next video when we are talking about the programming. Okay. So as I mentioned, the Qt Designer is not an IDE, means you cannot run any code in it. But the good news is there is another software called Qt Creator, and which is very known and popular for C++ developers. For many years, it's not something new. But I don't know for how long. At least I found this out, I think last year. It now supports Python as well, and you can not only design your GUI in Qt Creator, also you can run and debug your Python code in Qt Creator. So let's install Qt Creator as well after installing and kind of getting to know Qt Designer. And just to install Qt Creator, you just need to type in sudo apt-get installed or install build essential. Okay, that's it. The next thing you need to install sudo apt-get install Qt creator. Okay. And if you're interested, for sure, I strongly recommend you can install the examples as well to learn about others' code as well. That's the best way to kind of learn a new programming language, in my opinion. Sudo apt install PyQt 5 examples. Okay. That's really it. Okay. Let's talk about Windows user as well. These two command lines were for Linux. For Windows users, you just need to go to the Qt.io website and download the Qt Creator software or IDE from their website directly for your machine. And after you install, if you have a Linux or Windows machine, really doesn't matter. Basically, the appearance or the look is exactly the same, and that's basically the art of Python as a cross-platform programming language, as well as Qt framework that lets you develop applications which can run on everywhere basically. So let's open Qt Creator. So this is the Qt Creator software. Just one thing, just a very important thing to remember. I think a lot of people are confused about Qt Creator and Qt Designer, but these are two totally different things, and I explained. To summarize, Qt Designer is just for creating the graphical part. You cannot run anything, but Qt Creator is an IDE. Okay, and okay, now maybe let's see a very simple example in Qt Creator. I just opened a very simple example I opened up or created a few minutes ago, and that's basically a very basic structure of the Qt project in Qt Creator. You have a .py project and also .ui and .py. So the .py file is where you write your code, and the .ui file is where you define your basically the layout or the GUI part. So in other words, you exactly the same feel as a Qt Designer. You drag and drop new components over here in the graphical user interface, and you have access to every single attribute of these components from your Python code basically. And as I said, this is the IDE. This is not just a software to create the graphical user interface. Just by pressing Ctrl R on your keyboard, or just press this button in the Qt Creator. Yeah, I don't want to save it. Yeah, that's all really. You can, as you see, your application is open, and you can run. It makes your life really easy, as I said, because that was my main challenge at the beginning when I started programming. Because I'm not a software developer, I'm an engineer. My brain was kind of back into the days when I was using Visual Basic, or as I said, MATLAB GUI to develop some sort of user interface for engineering application I was developing. And with using this Qt Creator, you can just simply add GUI to your application, and in my opinion, this is the best IDE. For sure, if you are a computer scientist or you are a professional software developer, you might have a different opinion and preference, but for us, an engineer, I personally strongly suggest to use Qt Creator for your Python project. All right, there you have it. At this step, you have all the necessary tools to start developing your app or native app, let's say, which can be executed on Windows, Linux, Mac without any change, or you can even run or develop Android apps. With some tricks, it is a little tricky for Android, but just to let you know, you can run the code, write the code and run everywhere, and that's the art of Python and also the Qt. Again, doesn't matter if you're using a Linux machine or Windows or Mac. The user interface and the feel and everything is exactly the same, and you don't need to change anything basically. Okay, I hope you learn a little bit of something, and in the next video I will focus on the programming side, and I will walk you through the HMI application I developed using PyQt. I put the link to that video over here to kind of give you some background before starting that video. And just let me know if you have any suggestion, if you have any problem installing all these tools. We can work on it and solve it together. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to share this video with your friends and colleagues who might be interested in this topic.